Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Masks Off. I'm Kim,
And I'm Tia.
and we're so excited to be here with you. We're now officially moving into summer season, and it's just so nice to have the great weather going on and just feeling more alive with
Mhm.
summertime for
It
sure.
is.
So, as always, we always start with a quote, and today's quote is from Dr. Shefali Tsabary, one of our favorite teachers. That's how Tia and I originally met, was through Shefali's courses way back many years ago, and
Many
then
years.
we many years, and then eventually connecting in person at one of her in-person Evolve events. So she's one of our favorites. She's just come out with a new book called A Radical Awakening. She just had a 10-day deep dive course, which was really good. Highly recommend both the book and the course.
Hmm.
If you're not familiar with Dr. Shefali, look her up, go to her website. It's amazing. So anyway,
Yeah.
her quote is, you don't live a life, you live a pattern.
Ooh,
Very short and simple, but that's packed in. So let's
so
deconstruct
much.
that quote. There's so
Hmm.
much packed in there.
Well, first of all, we live many patterns.
Many patterns. Yes.
Many, many.
Many.
So many unconscious patterns we aren't even aware
Yes.
of until we are. And that's really what our podcast is about, right?
100% because our patterns are also synonymous with the masks, no? Wouldn't
Exactly.
you say?
Totally. I
If
mean, we may
you,
have different patterns with each mask, but yeah, they're
yeah,
not separate. They're the same.
they're the same. My not my I don't want to possess it anymore, but
Right.
the perfectionist mask is a mask, but it's also a pattern,
Exactly. Because it
right?
shows up in our behaviors. So we think we're living a
Yes.
life, but we're actually repeating our patterns. They may look different and they may
Yes.
fall under the umbrella of each of our masks, but how we respond or how we react, what we do, it's in that comfort zone of
It's
those
in,
patterns.
and what's so interesting to me now, like in hindsight and having done the work and realizing now that I have been living these patterns, but
Yeah.
before I was on this path, I had no idea. It just felt like
Mm-mm.
that's life. This is me.
Exactly.
I felt like it was who I was,
Right.
but it wasn't me. They were just patterns.
Yep.
Like having the pattern in the role of being the good girl
Mm-hmm.
and just always kind of going with the flow. I'm easygoing. I don't rock the boat. It's like, oh, hey, where do you want to go for dinner
Mm-hmm.
tonight? Well, wherever you want to go.
No
Or
conflict.
no conflict. Like, I thought that was just my nature,
Mm-hmm.
like my inherent nature. It's
Right.
not my nature.
Mm-mm. You're meant to speak up and have opinions and have needs and wants and be able to express them, but you're
Yeah.
conditioned not to. So you were
I go
living
back.
your life like that, but you were living your patterns and your conditionings and your roles and on and on and on.
So I
As
go
was
back
I
to,
and everybody,
and,
not
and,
just
and
you.
everybody. Yes, right. This is right. This is a universal thing. And,
Mhm.
with the groups that we belong to with Shefali, there are women in those groups worldwide, all over the world,
Exactly. All cultures.
all cultures. The work I do with hypnosis and the training with Marissa Peer, the RTT, worldwide, many cultures. So I have been interacting with, and that's been really interesting because doing the hypnosis with people way, in Singapore, in Greece. Remember, I was telling you way
Yes.
back, like working with people from all these cultures. And it was so fascinating to me that the pain, the suffering, the roles, the patterns are so universal.
Completely.
Blows my mind.
Completely. Completely. And I think the other piece to recognize with these roles, these conditionings, the pain underneath, the patterns, everything is, and Shefali talks about this so much, and it's such an important piece. And we talk about it in other episodes, that 100% responsibility and
Yeah.
co-creation. So while we've had this conditioning and these roles placed upon us by culture, by our families, by teachers, by whatever. We're continuing to co-create that because we're not breaking those patterns.
Right.
So we have to, so to be able to break free, to release our masks, take them off, and then put them back on and take them off and let go of those patterns means we need to take that responsibility and recognizing we are subconsciously, not usually consciously, we're choosing to continue these roles, these masks. And so we're co-creating. So when we start to live a life, we're breaking those patterns and co-creating a new way of living more in touch with who we truly are. So like you have an opinion of where you want to go to dinner. I mean, just on a simple
Yes.
little thing like that, that's huge. It seems so little, but it's actually just a subset of so much more. And so saying where you want to go to dinner, when you started
Yeah.
to do that and you started to be more in touch with your needs, was creating a crack in that conditioning, in
Yes.
those patterns.
And what makes it hard to step into that is because oftentimes when I'll just speak for myself, when I step out into my power and I speak up and use my voice, if I'm met with resistance or conflict, then if I'm not careful of it, I can go back into that pattern and put that mask back on. So
Right.
just a very simple example of that is that, as I was sharing with you, that tomorrow my husband and my son and I are going to Brooklyn to see the Brooklyn Nets play Milwaukee and the Milwaukee Bucks. And the tickets are very expensive, number one.
Mm-hmm.
But that, like, yes, that is important. That does matter to my husband because it is a lot of money. And I know from the past that when we've gone to sporting events, that if it's getting late or if it seems like it's blowout, he never wants to stay till the very end
Oh, he's one of
because he
those.
does, yeah, he doesn't want to, which I understand he doesn't want to deal like with the mad rush and the crowds of trying to leave.
Yep.
And in the past, I've always gone along with it because we were going to see the Raiders. I didn't really care, whatever.
Yep.
But this particular was originally my son and I planning this trip to see the basketball game. And then he kind of decided after the fact, yeah, I think I will come. Initially, he wasn't sure. And he's like, yeah, I think I will come. So I just said to him the other day, I said, I just want to say ahead of time that if the game is really good and I'm enjoying it and it's close, I really want to stay to the end.
Mm-hmm.
And, and he really honestly didn't like that I said that and fired back with a snarky remark.
You can't miss the
So
end, though.
I know. I mean, shoot, I know it'll never happen, but I have to like see if I can get someone's autograph. I have to see if I can like meet Kyrie or Katie or somebody. So you didn't gather, I'm there for the Nets. I'm a Nets fan, not Milwaukee. Sorry,
Hey,
Tia.
now.
Sorry. But you know what I'm saying? So that was like
Right.
huge for me.
And
Just
it's
speak up.
amazing, right? And I think the important piece too, when we start to speak up, we start to say, hey, you know what, that's not okay with me anymore. I'm not going to let my inner child stay quiet, or I'm not going to let my patterns continue.
Yes.
That there is pushback. So it doesn't mean like you start to break these patterns and everybody's like, oh, yay, you're now speaking up for yourself. Oftentimes you get the opposite.
Yeah.
It's that, whoa, wait a minute. So you get pushback from the other, which is then your choice, your co-creation. Am I going to fall back, like you said, fall back into my pattern, or am I going to step up and stay true to who I am? And it takes strength and it takes courage and it takes vulnerability, because all of a sudden it's that, wait, they might reject me for who I actually am.
100%.
By
And
no longer filling their roles that continue their patterns.
Right, exactly. Because now the dance is different, right?
Exactly.
I'm starting to do a new dance, and it's like, oh, well, that dance doesn't really fit with the dance that we used to do.
Yes.
And I like the dance that we used to do. So can we dance differently? Like how are you? So what I have found is that sometimes when I start to do the new dance and it feels scary or uncomfortable or I'm met with resistance, and I think that this is normal, you sometimes go back to the old dance
Yep,
because we go back to what's familiar. That's how our
exactly.
brain is wired, right?
Exactly.
We want that safety, what's familiar.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then it's like, okay, then I fall back into a pattern. I'm living a pattern again, but then that doesn't feel comfortable, right? And
Right.
then you read Shefali's books
Right.
and she stirs and shakes you up. So you're like, oh, okay, I can't keep doing the old dance
Nope.
anymore. I have to do this new pattern. And
Exactly.
then it's come out, okay, let's start a new dance. Let's go
Mm-hmm.
back to that new dance.
And they can join you or not.
Exactly. They can
So
join or
we
not.
can attach to
Yeah.
that.
I think, and I think what I'm also like underscoring is that it is a back and forth. It's not like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I just start this new dance and I'm just like going to start doing that new
Mm-mm.
dance all the time.
No.
Sometimes it is a back and forth, a back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's been my experience.
It's been mine and pretty much everyone I've talked to. So you may stay in the new dance longer and longer, but we still dip
Yeah.
back into the old dance because physiologically that was our safe place. Even if it's not a healthy place for us, it
Right.
still was safe, it still was familiar. So when we are shaken up so much, we may retreat and go back into our old patterns, and that's okay, because then you get
Right.
another chance to again step out and step free. So that dance is internal and external, but really it's that internal dance that we have to really navigate and say, oh, okay, am I going to choose what's safe, or am I going to choose what's best and true to me?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's both, but depending upon a situation, it may be like, the situation is actually, it's okay, and I can still do my dance without my patterns. So it's not all, there's so much gray in here, and
Yeah.
it's so much of an individual journey. So my journey looks different than your journey, which looks different than X person's journey, Y person's journey. And we have to honor that each person is where they are exactly supposed to be in that moment without judgment. And that often can be very hard, because
Yeah.
we know what it's like to break free and have that other side of the dance, and we want it for others, but we can't do it for them, because
No.
that becomes a pattern when we want to do it for them.
Yes. Yes. That becomes then the rescuer and the fixer,
Right.
and that's that pattern. So yeah, just and I'm sure it is probably clear, but just to clear, when we're talking about the dance is the pattern is the mask.
Right.
And so that's, we've talked about taking off the masks, and then we put them back on, and then we try to take it off again, put it
Yeah.
back on. Same thing with the roles that we play,
Mm-hmm.
patterns. They're all intertwined and they're all synonymous.
Exactly. And I think another piece to just throw in, and maybe it's a whole nother episode too. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of episodes so that we can always talk about, but recognizing that it sounds a lot like it's intellectual, right? We just have to
Mm,
convince ourselves, oh, I'm not going to do X because I always do X, and now I'm going to try Y. It's not all in our head, because when we're all in our head, we're just surface, we're on the surface,
yeah.
and it's not deep and true and in alignment with us. And so this work is body, mind, and spirit work. But so many people, and I was stuck in my head with this work for years, but it wasn't until I really was able to truly step into this new dance when I dropped into my heart and into my
Mm,
body, mind, and spirit, because then there was the integrity and the alignment. And I still go into my head. I'm an analytical person.
yeah, me too.
And that is what most humans are, or people can be the opposite and be so emotional and so reactive.
Mm,
So it's understanding, am I in my head or am I in my heart? We talk about the cutoff
yeah,
right here, right? So I
yeah.
think that's another important play with living a life or living a pattern.
And I have found for myself, or when I am learning, I'm in the process of learning that to break that pattern or to do a new dance, I have to do it in the present moment.
Yes, it's the
It
only
has
way
to
to do
happen.
it.
It has to happen in the moment. I can't. So even if my pattern of grabbing for food when I'm anxious and upset or bored, I
Mm-hmm.
can't say, oh, when this happens, then I will, and I'm famous for that. when this condition is right and then I'll eat healthy.
Yeah.
When my kids aren't in the house and I don't have to buy junk food for them, then I'll be,
Right.
no, no.
It's
Breaking the
now.
pattern happens right now in
Right.
this moment by moment, choice by choice.
Exactly. Exactly. It doesn't mean that we don't plan or have steps in place, but the
Yes,
actual change is only in the moment.
100%.
Because we can plan all we want, but doesn't mean we're going to do it. I mean, how many times I'll be happy when?
Yes.
No, doesn't work that way.
It doesn't. It
It's
doesn't.
not a destination.
Yes, I have been trying that for my whole life. That's been
Everyone.
my way of trying to deal my whole life.
Right.
I will just show one little example of how it has shifted, because I was really caught up in that energy of when was trying to figure things out with taking care of my uncle and my father.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it was because I was trying to control the outcome, right? I
Right.
wanted them to, no resistance at all. I just wanted to do all the planning and have it go exactly the way I wanted it to go.
And they were supposed to do everything you said.
And they were supposed to do it right. My uncle is not supposed to resist and say, I don't want to have a caretaker. I don't want
Right.
blah, blah, blah. He was supposed to say, of course, thank you, Kim.
Right.
You know, I appreciate that. I appreciate all your time and effort. You know, good job.
Here's your
Like,
balloons and your roses and
yes.
chocolate. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Didn't happen that way. But the moment that I was aware of my pattern
Mm-hmm.
and said, okay, right now I'm going to just take the action steps. I'm going to make the phone calls. I'm going to set it up and then let go.
Right.
If he chooses to slam the door and say, I'm not letting you in my house, okay, so be it. And then whatever happens from there happens from there.
Yep.
And by the way, the person did show up, was scheduled for yesterday, and I hadn't heard anything. So I'm going to assume, and it doesn't matter whether it turned out well or didn't. But the moment that I let go of that need to control, which is a pattern for me to have things go according to my plan,
right.
I'm like, I'm free. I have free and space about it. It is what it is. Whatever happens, happens.
Right. And the beauty
That's the
of
moment.
your sharing that too is it shows it's not always easy, and we can do the work and we can get sucked right back in for
Yes.
not just a day, but for weeks.
Or months it was for me. I was really caught for months.
But it's not Ozzy's. I don't know if you can hear him. He was just sleeping, making sleepy noises. But recognizing that that is what this is. It is a dance. We step back in and step back out, and it may just be a quick in and out, or it may be a longer one. And that just means there's some more healing to do. That's it. And look at the transformation when you fully accepted and came into the present moment. And that's the beauty of breaking free, living your life, not your patterns.
100%. Love that. You don't live a life, you live a pattern. So what we're saying is live a life and not a pattern is exactly what you said. So we can definitely end on that note if that feels complete for you.
Good to me. I look forward to our next conversation.
Yes, me too. So again, thank you as always for your support, and we just really appreciate it. Like or subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube or even on podcasts.
Yes, we appreciate the support. Thank you, everyone. And Ozzy is saying goodbye as well.
Yeah. Have a great day, everybody.
Take care. Bye.